Is the Volkswagen Beetle the best vintage car you can get on a budget? Let's see. Hi everyone, this is another Marty's Market Assessment. Here today we have a 1963 Volkswagen Beetle, standard Beetle, and we're going to touch lightly on all the aspects about this car. Let's get started. So this is a 1963 Beetle. This is a very special Beetle in my heart, and I'll tell you why. This is the last Beetle to have various features that we're going to go over real quick. This is the last Beetle to have these small windows. After 1963, these windows got really big, and I'll show you a quick way to tell if it's a 63 or earlier Beetle. See this dimension right here, how wide it is? That's right, that's super wide. On the later model Beetles, that's super narrow, and this door frame was super small. But this has these small windows, and the small rear windows. These are pop-outs. These pop out so you can get better airflow. More things that were only on the 63 and earlier Beetles are these tiny, small Pope nose license plate. The small rear window. Everything is very small on these earlier Beetles. That's why they're so different. Even the fenders are different. Smaller turn signals. Laid back lights like a Porsche 356. The hood is super long and it comes down super low, below the bumper. On the later model ones, the hood's cut much higher, right around here. It's got horn grills. Horn grills just like a Porsche 356. Very similar. It also has these crests. The Wolfsburg Castle crest, and the trim is super fat. The 63 Beetle also has the early style wipers. Look at these things. They're very tiny and flimsy. They don't work very good, but hey, it's okay. It's also got the flat windshield like the standard Beetle, and it's got the emblem on the hood. Notice it's a very beautiful area. Lots of thought went into the design of this car. Now let's move on to the mechanicals. We'll start with the suspension on this 63 Beetle. It's super low. It's got an adjustable front beam that's been narrowed. The reason they narrow it is so when you turn, it doesn't hit the inside of the fenders or the outside of the fenders. This one's got factory style wheels. They're called smoothies. Let's move on to the back. Over in the back, it's been lowered by adjusting the rear spring plate, which is a very easy thing to do. It's a do-it-yourself type of car. That's why I love these, and that's why it's a great entry-level vintage car for everyone. This one's been lowered roughly 4 inches all the way around. This car is swing axle. I'm going to go over the suspension real quick about all the Beetles really fast. The early Beetles were all swing axle. That changed in 1969. It went to IRS. There's a little bit of an overlap in those years. The front suspensions are 2 different types. There's kingpin and ball joint. Kingpin was up to 1965. 65 and newer is ball joint. And that is the quick wrap-up of the suspension differences. Let's move on to the motor. This Beetle has a 1600cc motor, dual port with dual carburetors, single throat carburetors. It's got an electronic distributor, an 09, that's what that's called. And it's got an alternator, so you can put a stereo in it and modern things, The generator is not very good. These alternators are great. They charge super good, and it's a very easy conversion to do. I highly recommend it. It also has a 36 horsepower doghouse cooler that has no heater vents. You don't need a heater in Florida, right? Let's go for a ride. All right, let's go for a ride. I'm going to start this little guy up, and we'll get a sound bite. She sounds great. And we have very basic instruments in this car. We got the fuel gauge, and we got a speedo, we got an alternator light, and we got an oil light. We also got the little blinker light right there blinking away. And then the horn button ring. I guess the horn doesn't work. And as with all lowered Volkswagens, you got to be super careful driving these. You can't just rip them around town, See, it's a little bit of a rough ride. If you don't want the rough ride, just don't lower it. We finally got it off onto the open road. Let's give it a little gas. Oh Oh yeah, these run great with a little basic motor. This is a really fun car. And since it's lowered, it handles great. Look at this, nice tight handling. We're already going 45 miles per hour and I barely hit the gas. These are very fun cars to drive, and unlike those buses, these are comfortable and cool. These vent windows work great. You don't sweat in these cars. These are designed very well. This is one of the best utilitarian cars ever designed. That's why they sold so many for so many years. Very enjoyable. I'm having a great time driving this. Another reason why these are great little entry-level vintage cars is how easy they are to drive. I mean, I'm driving this while holding a microphone. Anybody can drive this car. The clutch is light, the gear changes are nice and crisp, the throttle response is great for a little 1600cc motor. And yeah, these are awesome little cars. Lots of fun. You can pack the family in the back. I'll hop in the back seat in a few minutes and there's plenty of room back there. Look how nice this car drives. As you can see, I'm in the back of the car and there's lots of room. I got these seats folded back and I got plenty of space. I mean, it's not super comfortable, but it's comfortable enough. You can throw the kids back here, and like I said, these make excellent vintage cars and great for the family experience. Now, onto the pros and cons. The pros: affordable price. Parts are super cheap. Easy to get replacement motors. Easy to get replacement transmissions. Easy to lower. It's a do-it-yourself type of car. You can fit the whole family in this one. Great body styling. The iconic body. Now for the cons. There's not many cons for this car. Rough ride when lowered. Very slow if you don't do a 1600cc motor. Low top speed if you don't do a newer style transmission. Some things are not really DIY. Not many mechanics left that like to work on these. The wipers don't work very good. The hippie stigma, unfortunately. So we are going to wrap up this edition of Marty's Market Assessment of the 1963 Volkswagen Vintage Beetle. I think it's a great car. These are roughly worth right in the $10,000 range. Solid investment. These go up in price constantly. This is a great little car. These are super affordable still. If you're looking into getting a vintage car, you better hurry up and snap one up. I recommend the 63 and older Beetle, the early styles as I call them. In the later model years, they got a little ugly with the big windows and the big fat fenders. Some people call those later years the fat chicks. And as we all know, nobody wants any fat chicks. This is a great little car. So please like, subscribe, and leave comments. And if there's any specific vehicle you want me to do, leave it in the comments and I'll try to get it for you and give it a nice review.